The wedding album lies open on Aunt Maxine's coffee table, a glossy monument to betrayal. I stand frozen, my fingers tingling with numbness as I stare at my brother Nolan beaming beside his new wife, the same brother whose wedding I'm supposed to attend tomorrow. Elise, honey, I thought you knew. Aunt Maxine's voice wavers behind me, thick with something worse than pity guilt. The carefully wrapped crystal frame slips from my hands. The shattering glass echoes through the living room like a physical manifestation of what's happening inside me. Shards scatter across the hardwood floor, catching light from the afternoon sun, streaming through the bay windows. That's not possible. My voice sounds strange, distant. I have the invitation right here. I fumble with my purse, extracting the thick cream envelope with my name in elegant calligraphy. Look, June 15th, tomorrow. Aunt Maxine takes the invitation with trembling hands, her reading glasses perched on the end of her nose. Oh, Elise, her voice breaks. The wedding was last weekend. They sent you the wrong date. On purpose. The room tilts slightly. I'd taken a day off from my executive marketing position to prepare. Spent weeks searching for the perfect gift, the right dress, practicing what I'd say to family members who barely acknowledge my existence. How can they be so cruel, your mother? Aunt Maxine hesitates, then squares her shoulders. They decided it would be easier if you weren't there. The memory of receiving that envelope floods back standing at my mailbox. Sunlight catching the gold embossing as I ran my fingers over my name. The flutter of hope in my chest. Maybe this invitation meant healing. Maybe they finally wanted me there. I remember the family dinner 2 months ago when Nolan announced the engagement. The way his eyes swept the room, connecting with everyone except me. Still, I'd smiled, offered congratulations, pretended not to notice. That weekend, I'd driven to 3 different stores, hunting for the perfect dress. Something elegant, but not showy. Something that said I belonged among them. The saleswoman had commented on my glowing smile as I stood before the mirror, heart-light with hope. I kneel now, carefully gathering shards of broken crystal. When Aunt Maxine moves to help, I shake my head. Let me. My hands tremble, but my voice has found its steadiness. They've always treated me like I was invisible. Now they've made it official. For once, I don't search for explanations to soften what they've done. Don't create excuses for their cruelty. Something shifts inside me, a tectonic plate finally breaking free after years of pressure. I stand taller, meeting Aunt Maxine's tearful gaze. I fought with your mother about this. Aunt Maxine says, wringing her hands. I told her it was wrong, cruel even, but she overruled me. Said you just bring up uncomfortable topics, ask embarrassing questions. I almost laugh. Uncomfortable topics like the thousands of dollars I've quietly funneled to keep the family late cottage from foreclosure through my holding company. Embarrassing questions like why my brother's business failures are always forgiven while my successes are dismissed. I've spent years trying to earn my place in this family. I wrapped the broken pieces in the gift paper, the festive pattern now seeming like another mockery. I thought if I achieved enough, helped enough, they'd finally see me. Aunt Maxine reaches for my hand, her papery skin cool against mine. Some people can't see what's right in front of them, Elise. Not won't, can't. The quiet realization settles over me. No achievement would ever be enough. No sacrifice would make them truly see me. I've been trying to earn what should have been freely given, and in doing so, I've allowed them to determine my worth. I look at the album again, at all those smiling faces celebrating without me. My absence was so complete, they didn't even need to edit me out. They'd made their choice long before this wedding. Perhaps it was time I made mine. And I will show my family who I am. I will not be invisible anymore. The next day, the steering wheel feels slick under my palms as I pull into my parents' circular driveway. Their Tudor-style home stands proud against the afternoon sky, its manicured hedges and gleaming windows betraying nothing of the betrayal within. I keel the engine but remain seated, watching through the bay window as they lounge in the living room, surrounded by wedding photos. My mother's laugh floats through the partially open window, the same delicate tinkling sound I'd spent decades trying to earn. My father leans back in his leather recliner, looking more relaxed than I've seen him in years. And Nolan, my golden child brother, stands by the mantel holding up a large wedding portrait, his voice carrying clearly across the lawn. Best decision we made was making sure she wasn't there to ruin everything, like always. A wave of nausea rises as I grip the doorframe, knuckles white against the polished wood. They continue laughing, flipping through album pages, completely oblivious to my presence. 3 minutes pass before my mother finally notices me standing in the entryway. Her champagne glass disappears behind a silver-framed photo with practiced subtlety. Elise. Not a question, not a greeting, just acknowledgement of an unexpected intrusion. The wedding was last weekend. My voice sounds steadier than I feel. You sent me the wrong date, on purpose. Nolan doesn't even look up from the album. I needed one perfect day without you. The simplicity of his statement hits harder than any angry defense could have. No denial, no pretense. You've always disrupted our peace, Elise. Mother adjusts her pearl necklace, a nervous habit from childhood. Can't you understand we needed one special occasion without your intensity? Father remains silent in his recliner, eyes downcast, studying his hands as if they hold secrets only he can decipher. His silence speaks volumes, tacit approval wrapped in cowardice. I step further into the room, noting how they occupy the comfortable seating while I stand. The physical representation of our family dynamic couldn't be clearer if it had been staged by a theatrical director. I've put thousands of dollars into the late cottage repairs through my holding company. The statement hangs in the air between us. Did you think I wouldn't find out you've been telling everyone it's still completely yours? Mother waves her hand dismissively. That's what successful children do. They help their parents. It's your obligation. Playing with your little marketing spreadsheets while the rest of us have real careers. Nolan smirks, tossing the album onto the coffee table with careless entitlement. Dad builds something tangible. I create architectural visions. What do you make besides money? Their words crystallize a truth I've spent years avoiding. To them, I am not a daughter or sister, but a resource, an ATM with inconvenient emotions they'd rather not acknowledge. I catch my reflection in the ornate mirror above the fireplace. The woman staring back seems diminished somehow, shoulders slightly curved inward, head tilted in a perpetual posture of apology. How long has this stranger been living in my skin? This woman trained to make herself smaller at every family gathering, to speak softer at every holiday dinner. Let me explain something you seem to have forgotten. I open my purse, retrieving a slim folder I'd grabbed from my home office on the drive over. I have documentation of every dollar spent on that cottage, every repair made, every tax bill paid. Mother's eyes narrow, the first flicker of uncertainty crossing her face. And most importantly, I have my name on the deed, not as co-owner. As sole owner, I place the document on the coffee table. You signed over your half to my company 3 years ago when Nolan needed capital for his failing restaurant venture. Father finally looks up, confusion battling with dawning comprehension. You're welcome to contest it, I continue, my voice gaining strength with each word. But the paperwork is quite thorough. Jenna made sure of that. Jenna? My Jenna Morales? Mother's voice rises an octave. Our family attorney? My attorney now, I correct her. For the past 5 years. 15 minutes later, walking back to my car, hands trembling but steps steady, I wonder if I should immediately cut all financial ties or gradually withdraw support to give them time to adjust. The swift justice of immediate action tempts me, but would that make me as callous as they had been? What would you do when you discover the people who should love you have only been using you all along? I start the engine, the quiet purr somehow steadying my racing heart. For the first time since receiving that beautiful lying invitation, I feel something close to peace. Perhaps the most important wedding wasn't Nolan's after all, but my own marrying the woman I am to the woman I've always been capable of becoming. That same day, my phone buzzed for the 5th time in an hour. Another cousin I haven't spoken to since last Thanksgiving, suddenly concerned about my mental health. Mother's been busy. Elise, honey, we're worried about you. Uncle Robert's voice crackles through the speaker. Your mother says you've been making some wild accusations. I press my fingertips against my temple. Did she mention that they sent me a fake wedding invitation with the wrong date? The pause tells me everything. Well, there must be some misunderstanding. No misunderstanding, Uncle Robert. They didn't want me there, so they made sure I wouldn't be. After hanging up, I opened my laptop to find Nolan has posted wedding photos online. Surrounded by everyone who matters, reads the caption beneath an image of our beaming parents flanking the happy couple. The absence I'd never noticed in family photos before now screams at me. The final blow arrives in today's mail. A formal letter on Dad's business